Welcome to today's session. Before getting into today's topic, let us first see the question which is displayed in the screen. Here it says that the below table shows the grading system. Now, why I am jumping first of all in a starting with a question? Why so? Because before getting into today's topic, that should be like why we are studying that topic. Let us first getting into this question. This is a normal score in subject and a grade. What it shows, like by seeing this we can get an idea that it's just a marks of a student. It's just a marks of a student, or maybe a grading system in which how a student is given a grade. Like in school you have come across these things like A is for more than 90, 80, 89 is for B, C. Let's not get into detail. This is what it says. Now how can you implement this in C? Before teaching you today's topic, this thing you can implement in C. Whatever we have learned so far in my previous videos. If you haven't watched those videos, then look into it. First finish those videos that is there in my channel, Psy Coding Lecture. It is there over there. So first of all, go and watch those videos. There I have covered all the basics of programming in my two videos, and recently in my previous video I have completely explained what are operators, what is bitwise, logical, assignment, all of them are explained. So first go and watch it, and then you should watch this video. So without wasting further time, I will just get into this. Now so far whatever you have learned, you can get an idea that how can you do this program. Simply you may take, like, let me use the dot. Okay, yeah. Just a second. Okay, so here is the table over here. Now so far whatever we have learned till now, we can implement this in C very easily. We may take an integer variable, suppose, let me write it clearly. Okay, I'm using this white space. Suppose I took int a, b. This way I can take variable as much as I want. Suppose C also I took, and then you may take user input, like writing printf and scanf, or you may just assign the values, like b will be 20 and C will be 15, likewise, right? So you are familiar with these things, that yeah, we will take three variables, we may assign those variables, and also what you can do is you can, let me clear this space. Okay. Now over here you may print, like suppose you took three variables and you are storing it in, let's say we are storing this in a plus b plus c, right? If you want to multiply, then you multiply as well, a into b into c. This way it's possible, likewise. But this is what it was, but here it is about a grading system. Now how can you do this grading system in C? This is not possible. If you would have been told that okay, do a calculator kind of program, then that was possible. But these things, they are not possible. For that we have introduced a new concept. this is like, if this is greater, then you need to put conditions, right? So far I haven't been in such if else conditions, but I will show you over here. Like if condition is there, then you may write that the variable a is greater than 90. You may write this thing. This is possible, right? So these things are possible, but here we are going across a new concept. Let's see what's that new concept. This is called switch case. Now let's go to the above in the PDF. This is what is switch case. Switch case we will read further. First of all, the question comes, why we are using switch case, right? So switch case can be considered, another name of switch case is what? Menu driven program. What? Menu driven program. Menu driven program, right? So another name of switch case is menu driven program, right? Now over here, switch case can also be it would be like in exam, it may say that okay, write a program that should be a menu driven program. So it's the same thing, don't get confused. Switch case is also called a menu driven program. Menu driven program, right? Now what are the characteristics? Let's watch it one by one. It is a switch, right? It is a switch. What do you mean by switch? Switch is what? On and off. In our home we have switches, which is for two purpose, on and off. Whenever you plug one switch, then that gets switch on, and whenever you switch it off, then that gets switch it off, right? That is a switch. Switch means you can switch it. Another meaning of switch is you can switch it from one case to another, right? What do you mean by that? The term case? Case means you have certain conditions. Case means what? Conditions. Case means conditions, right? So cases are like, suppose you have one case, then you have two case, then you have three case, you have four case, and it's going on and on, right? This way the cases are there, the conditions are applied over here. User, why we say that it's a menu driven program? Why we say this? Because menu driven program means it is in a menu format. Like generally in hotels or wherever you go, what this, before you get into a hotel and then the waiter comes and what it gives? Just directly the food? No, it gives you a menu card, right? So that is what it is. A menu will be displayed in front of the user. The user will see the menu and it may say anything. Suppose for addition, you have given a thing that press 1 for addition. You are saying that press 1 for addition, right? So if user is not willing to press 1, then it will not press 1. You are saying press 2 for subtraction. Then user may, if the user needs to do the number subtraction, then the user will press 2. And there is one another condition. Likewise, you are having 3, then you are having 4, same thing. But if neither of the case is matching, like you are entering something different other than the cases, other than the choices mentioned in the menu. Suppose the menu contains, let me be a simple one. Suppose the menu contains 1, 2, 3. 3 cases, 3 conditions. You have 3 options in your menu. But suddenly the user is asking or maybe pressing an option for 4 which is not mentioned in your menu, then the thing comes, the term comes which we say as default. What is default? Default means if neither of the case matches, then a default condition is being executed. Default gets you printed, suppose entered a wrong number, again asking a choice from a user. That is what default does. So this is what is default. A case contains case numbers, case 1, case 2, case 3. A switch keyword. This switch is what? A keyword, right? Switch is what? A keyword. Switch is a keyword, right? This switch is mentioned at the top before starting, and after that the curly brackets are written. Inside that the cases are written. Case 1, case 2, case 3. These are mentioned. And at last default is mentioned. So in few seconds I will show you the structure of what I am saying. Now it seems like boring, but then you will get to know about it. Another thing is it is a multi-level branching, multi-way branching statement. Another point is it has many conditions, and depending on the conditions statement executes. So whatever I said just now is mentioned over here. So 3 points should be kept in mind whenever you are writing a switch case. Then switch case is a what? A keyword, right? A keyword. It's a multi-way branching statement. It has many conditions, right? And depending on which the condition statements execute. That is what should be kept in mind whenever you are writing a switch case, right? Now let's move on. This is what I was talking about. A brief explanation is I have given just now, and this is what I was saying. A switch expression is there within that, in which the switch will execute. Under that the condition has been mentioned. Switch is the keyword, as I said now. Another thing is the curly brackets. This is the curly brackets over here. Case 1 is written, case 2, case 3. These are mentioned, and the default is also mentioned over here. If I say the default is mentioned over here, this is the default, this line is the default, is mentioned over here. Statements are denoted by semicolon, and these cases are denoted by colon. Cases are denoted by colon. That should be kept in mind. This proper format has to be maintained whenever you are writing a switch case. I hope this is understood very clearly, mentioned over here, that what is a switch case. I am just zooming it out a bit the way I can. Okay, so this should be maintained properly. This semicolon should be maintained, this colon should be maintained, and this default has to be there. Not mandatorily, but default gives the user a message that user has entered an error message. An error message default gives. Why default is important? That may come in question, that why default is important, because it generates you an error message. Why so? So that user gets notified that the case or the option which user has entered is a wrong. Again user has given a chance that again he can entered a valid number. So that's why a message should be prompt in front of user in the display screen. For that reason we use default. So even if it comes in the question that it's default mandatory, necessary, then you may write that it's not mandatory or necessary, but we should give a default. Why so? Because user needs to get updated with the error, right? Error is important to be notified to the user that you have entered a wrong choice, right? Okay, let's move on to this table. Now you can easily understand that using switch case you can write the program. So this is a homework for you people, that I need this table, this format to be maintained, and write a program WAP WAP means, the full form of WAP is write a program in C. In C, that table should be there. This table should be there in switch case. Or you may say this as a menu driven program. This could be considered as a menu driven program, right? Okay, so let's move on. This would be a homework for you people. So this is the thing. This is a homework, but I will show you at a glance this thing. First of all, how did I do this? How it is represented? First of all, we have the header file. You should keep in mind, this is the header file. This is also a header file, another kind of header file, which is cognio.h, and this is a mandatory header file, which is stdio.h. stdio.h contains all the printf functions, the scanf functions, everything. Definitions are included in the header file. You may have an interview question like, why we need to include a header file, and what is the full form of stdio.h. Okay, I am giving you a task that get me the full form of stdio.h. Full form. This is a homework, that what is the full form of stdio.h. Next in the class. No mean comments. Okay. So this is what is cognio.h, is another header file. This is the main function. And here comes, we took a variable int score. Score here is a normal variable. You may avoid this clear screen, that is for cognio.h, so you may avoid this thing. Here we are printing that enter a score. We are asking from the user to enter a score, that is user input. This is how your user input has been taken. Scanf, using scanf you can scan. Using scanf we can scan the score and then done. And here is the switch case. Switch keyword is been mentioned. Then the condition is over here. Why we are dividing the score divided by 10? Because if suppose someone gives a score as 100, right, then it doesn't have cases. You can't write cases like that. So you will divide it with 100, divide it with 10, cancel. What is the answer? 10, right? So that is what it is. For that reason we are using and we are dividing it with 10. We have case 10, case 9. Why case 10 and case 9 both are A, grade A? Why so? Just follow the table. Here it's saying that greater than equal to 90. So obviously it may 90 is also included in grade A. Okay, so that needs to be mentioned over here. So yeah, that is what it is, grade A. For grade B cases, and this way how the program goes on. And we have a default condition over here, right? Moving on to another kind of program, which is what? Program to create a simple calculator kind of program. This is a very favorite question for any kind of exams. They give you this question that write a simple calculator kind of program in a switch case, or they may say menu driven program. So it's the same thing. Let's see. This is a program over here which is done in switch case. Acha, another thing I will say which is very important, ये break बहुत important है, क्योंकि break is, what you mean by the term break? Break means out from the loop. So this break statement is very, very important in a switch case statement. After every case ends, you need to put a break. Why so? You need to put a break because if suppose a case matches, suppose the user wants to perform the operation plus, right? Then it does this operation, then it prints the sum. After that, why will it check for rest of the things? One case is done, it is entered into one case, then it will break out from that particular loop or particular switch case. So for manipulating or for consuming time of CPU, for not wasting the time of CPU, or maybe breaking the time, for that purpose we are breaking it out, not checking it out further. So it is optimization rule. You need to always optimize whenever you're using your code. Should be always a optimized code. Writing a good code means being optimized. Okay, so let's get into the thing. This is what a division, and then we have the whole code. Okay, now that is represented in a graphical format. This will be explained very clearly. You can get an A. First of all, I have an expression over here. This is an expression. It will first go to case 1. It will, if the case it gets into entered into matches with the case 1, then it will execute statement 1, and then it will, what I said, break out from the statement, right? That is possible. If doesn't, then it will match for case 2. If that also doesn't work, then it will go for case 3. And if that doesn't work, then it will go for the default condition, and then it will get out of the loop, right? That is what it is, the representation of the flow. Okay, now we'll move on to this. This is a flow chart we have read in previous videos. I have shown you various kinds of flow chart, and in flow chart representation we have done this whole thing. So I will just give you with it that how a flow chart has been represented. We'll show you this flow chart over here. This is what it is. Just have a look over here. This is what is, first it's going from start, and then it is going to enter your choice, that is for the user input. Then again a decision is taken. If the choice, whatever is the choice, if it is case 1, then it will go for print statement. If it is case 2, then it will go for this statement, and whenever it matches a particular case, it will break out, and it will not check the further cases. For that reason we are using a break statement. But in default case, it's not mandatory to use a break statement, because why so we are not using in a default condition. Why we are not using a break statement? Because already it has checked all the cases and it has reached to the default case, obviously. So we don't need a break statement over there. After default statement, automatically the loop or the cursor will terminate. So for that reason we are not using break in default statement. I hope it's clear. Okay, here I have taken a program of a simple program where there are options. A user can have TV if he presses 1. If he press 2, then it will be offered fan. Press 3 for computer. Press 4 for tube light. So this is the choices, and here is the cases. Suppose it's case 1, then TV is on. If case 2, fan is on. If case 3, then computer is on. Case 4, tube light is on. This way how it works. And break is for, after that default is you have entered a wrong choice. This was, I was saying in just a minute, I was saying that why we use a default, because user should get a notification that he or she has entered a wrong choice, again entered a valid choice. For that default is needed. You may skip a default, but then if it will neither match with any of the cases, then user will have a blank output. User should get a notification of an error also. So for that reason default is necessary, or for a good coder it is necessary to include a default, right? I hope all the doubts are clear. I will keep the video till this much, and this is what is another flow chart of that representation of fan, tube light and computer and all over here. Just see into it. And okay, the last thing which I told you about the homework, this is your homework. You may take a screenshot of this thing, a grading system in C program using switch case, or you may say that is a menu driven program. Do this and let me know in comments that how it works out. Have fun with it. Over here I have given you this thing, of course, that I have explained you the code also. It's not an difficult job to do that. Another thing is you may practice these things in simple calculator. You may create a calculator kind of program using switch case also. This way how take your journey, and if there is any doubt you face in the thing, then let me know in the comments. And thank you for everything. Keep watching, keep supporting, like, share, subscribe and share as much as you possible. Thank you.